Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Tracy Morgan. So nice to have you with us just after 11 o'clock, and this is our half hour with Lisa Gard and Specialized Staffing. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Tracy. Thanks.
And I know we're focusing on why contract work or why contract help. So let me just ask you this. Why do companies use staffing firms in the first place? Is it all temp work? Can you explain that?
Sure. A lot of it is temp work, but not all of it. So I'll start by explaining that oftentimes when companies do look for somebody on a temporary basis, it can be for a number of reasons. Companies may experience situations like spikes in business. They get a big order that they can't fill and they need help. They get behind on certain projects, a spike in workload. They may have employees off on leaves of absence. Companies may change technologies. They go to a new computer system and they've got all kinds of backlogged work that, they have to get caught up on. Also, companies that don't have a need to hire somebody forever. They can bring in a contract employee who is actually employed by the staffing firm. So the staffing firm basically, covers their wages, their taxes. They send them the W-2 at the end of the year. So the company itself really isn't on the hook for those things.
So do those temporary assignments sometimes lead to a permanent job?
They do. Sometimes they do. They can lead to permanent work either at that time or sometimes it happens down the road. We'll have employees who are working on projects with companies and, several months down the road, that company may call us back and say, hey, a couple months back we had this person, we really like them, would they be interested in a permanent opportunity with our company? So, and then too, companies may have a need and they're not sure how long that need is going to last. A good example of this is what we saw when we were bouncing back from the recession. Companies laid off a lot of employees, and then as business started to pick back up, they had these needs, but they weren't sure they were going to last. So they hired temporary workers, but as those needs continued, they made those people, permanent employees. They hired them directly. And sometimes those opportunities just come into us as permanent opportunities in the first place. Companies have openings and they want to streamline their hiring process. So they may have someone else like us do the preliminary screening, identifying potential candidates and presenting them the ones that are, deemed to be most qualified for the position. And also, when companies hire temps, they typically keep them for 90 days as temps, and then they hire them directly. And this is an opportunity for both the company and the employee to kind of try each other out, make sure it's going to be a great fit before they actually go ahead and make the commitment.
So if I want to bring someone on board through a staffing firm, whether it's temporary or permanent, what do I do? Is the process the same?
Mm-hmm. Very similar. Depending on the scope of the work or the project, companies just give us a call. We work with them to help them determine what it is they need as far as the employee. So we'll help them to determine what technical skills they may need somebody to have, what soft skills they may need somebody to have. And, technical skills are things like a computer software that you know. Soft skills are things like communication skills that can't really be taught. You either have them or you don't. Also, what education may be required, what specific experience is required. We help our clients get through that whole process of identifying what the successful individual is going to need to have. And then we go back to the candidates we're working with to see who's interested and most qualified and available and make the match that way.
So what do companies need when they call you, when they call specialized staffing? Do they need a job description?
Yes, actually we do need that detail. We need to know what the employee will be doing specifically. Basically the what, when, who, how, where, what will they be doing, when are they needed, what are the hours, what schedule will they be working, and for how long. Where is the job located? Who will they be working with? Who will they report to? How will the hiring process work? All those things, they'll need to be prepared to provide that information, answer those questions, and we help them through that process.
So let me ask you this. If I'm a job seeker, why would I want to consider doing temp work in the first place?
Sure. There are a number of benefits to actually doing the project work. The first and most obvious one is to keep some money coming in. Oftentimes, people who find themselves not working will start doing project work just to keep that money coming in. Also, just as a resume builder, to keep from having gaps in your resume, it helps to do project work. Also, employees can gain experience in a specific field by doing project work. If you're a recent graduate or you've recently taken some classes and you're looking to get some experience in a new field, oftentimes project work is a great way to do that. Also, to find out what it's like to work in a particular company. Sometimes we will reach out to potential candidates talking to them about project work, and one of the reasons they're interested in an assignment is, they'll say, "Oh, I've always wondered, I've always wanted to work there, and I'd like to take the assignment because I'd like to see what it's like there." Some other benefits are just keeping up your skills, brushing up on skills, and even sometimes learning new skills. There are lots of opportunities out there where our clients will, offer to train people to do a certain job. So even though it's project, so there's an opportunity there to pick up some new skills as well. And then lastly, the flexibility to work when you want to work and to be off when you want to be off. When you're doing project work, you can basically dictate your schedule and let us know when you're available and when you're not. And we do have people who do that. A good example of that, I have an employee who, her husband used to travel a lot for business, and he used to get to go to really cool places. He traveled the world. So she wanted to be able to take some of those trips with him, and he was fortunate enough that he was able to take her. So she would just let us know when she was in town, and she would let us know when she was going to be out of town, and we were able to keep her busy, and, it worked out well for everybody involved.
So if I'm looking for something permanent, can you help me in that realm?
Absolutely. Frequently, companies do hire contract employees to use the temporary period as that kind of working interview we talked about a little while ago. We also work with a lot of companies who just want to hire directly, not as a contractor or temporary employee. So it's permanent right from the start, and we find that out from the very beginning. So there are two different processes.
Can you talk about the application? What's it like to apply? I mean, how does it work for the candidate side of the process? I mean, if you would talk about that for a moment.
Sure, absolutely. It's pretty easy. You can access our application process online. You can go to our website at specializedstaffinginc.com, and you can apply directly, send a resume, and of course then you'll get a call from somebody on our staff to schedule an appointment for an interview. And in that interview, we will discuss with you your experience, the skills you have, both, technical skills and soft skills that we talked about previously, your preferences in terms of, where you want to work, what type of company you want to work in. Do you want to work in a small company, a large company? Do you have a preference there? How far are you willing to travel? What locations are you interested in working in? What pay rate are you looking for? What salary range do you want to be in? What benefits are important to you? And what you liked and disliked about your previous experiences and bosses. This can help us to make sure that we're calling you with opportunities that are in environments that you like and that you'll be successful in. And also discussing things like your references and, the logistics of being hired, paperwork, things like that. And then we match you accordingly. We call you when positions come in with companies in which, most of your preferences, if not all, are being met.
So what if I haven't looked for a job in a long time? I'm out of the job realm and I want to get back in. I'm just not prepared. I just don't feel like I'm prepared. So what do I do at that point?
Sure. And we work with candidates through the entire process. We can help with things like, looking at your resume if it's not updated and helping you to choose the right format for your resume, making sure that you're highlighting what's most appropriate for the types of work that you're looking for, and just basically giving you advice on that resume. Also, It's tough if you haven't looked for a job in a while and you haven't interviewed for a while. It can be a little scary. So, we do we help our candidates get prepared for the interview, understand what types of questions they should be prepared to answer, what they should be prepared to talk about, how to put their best foot forward, and those sorts of things. And then also, even through the offer process, negotiating salary and making sure that your salary expectations are based on realistic things and what you bring to the table, so that you can get the best offer.
Lisa Gard is with us with Specialized Staffing, of course, based right here in Butler, but reaching quite a few different locations. What types of jobs are available right now, Lisa?
hmm Right now, some of the jobs we're working on, and typically most of them are in the North Pittsburgh region. We have, everything from director level to administrative level, and some of the director level positions we have that we're working on right now include quality assurance in a manufacturing environment. We also have a director of marketing position available, and that is with a service organization that is in the healthcare industry. And then also we always have lots of clerical and administrative positions in the general Butler area, all the way to Slippery Rock, Rose City, New Kensington, into Newcastle, Cranberry, and like I said, the general Butler area.
So talk about how we can contact you at Specialized Staffing.
Mm-hmm. Easy enough to give us a call at 724-287-8380. Also, like I said, you can go online at specializedstaffinginc.com. And you can apply there. You can also take a look at the current opportunities list of jobs that we're currently working on. And also there is a career portal link there that is called myspecializedcareer.com. And this is a resource that is free. It's for job seekers, and it offers a couple of different resources. You can search all the job boards with just one login, so you're not logging into Monster and then logging out and logging into Career Builder and logging out and logging into the next job board. You can do that all with one login. Also, this provides access to training resources, direct access to schools and training programs, videos on interviewing and how to prepare, and also resume templates. If you are looking to update your resume and you need some help with that, there's a template. You can just insert the information in there and get yourself an updated resume.
Lisa Gard with us with Specialized Staffing, of course, again, based right here in Butler. And one important point I know we've covered before, but I think it's so important to be able to express, because I think there are a lot of people who don't understand how the pay structure goes, if you will. So if I'm working with you as somebody who's trying to look for a job, does it cost me anything, Lisa?
No, and I'm so glad you asked that, Tracy. Oftentimes, it's funny, we find out that on the candidate side, people think there is a fee. And we've actually found that sometimes that prohibits people from applying for work with staffing firms because they think it's going to cost them money, and it doesn't. Our fees are paid by the companies who are doing the hiring. So as a job seeker, the services we provide to you are free of charge. And, that includes a confidential interview. One of the things that is of value in working with a staffing firm is that you remain confidential. So if you're currently working and you don't want your resume out there all over the internet on, Monster and Career Builder, because you never know who's going to see it, you can apply with a staffing firm. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can keep your anonymity if you are still working, and that's very important to a lot of our candidates.
So, Lisa, let me ask you this, because it sounds like there's a lot of benefit to be able to work with you with Specialized Staffing as somebody trying to find a job. How would you describe that being proactive? Give me some other benefits, if you will, of me trying to find a job with you.
Sure. So a lot of people we work with are currently working, and they typically fall into one of two categories. Either they are actively looking for another job, and by that I mean they're sending their resume out and they're very active in the job, in the job search. And then there are people who are just selectively evaluating opportunities to make the right move. And you can really get a competitive edge when you're working with a staffing firm in that regard, because it takes just one interview with us to be considered for any of the positions that match those preferences that we talked about before with regard to where you want to work, what field you're in, the salary range you want to work in. So when you do that, you have that interview, and then anytime we have a client who's looking for somebody with your background, we would call and discuss the opportunity with you. And if you're interested in pursuing the opportunity, the cool thing about working with a good recruiter is that we're not sending your resume through a search engine to, the company and hoping that, the keywords come up and they see it. We're actually picking up the phone. We're calling the hiring manager who we have a relationship with, and we're talking to them about you. We're introducing your skills and experience to them. We're telling them what your references told us. We're selling your experience, and we're getting you an audience with them. So that really does give you a competitive edge, especially when, there's a very active job market. There are a lot of people out there sending their resume to companies. It's kind of a good way to stand out because, like I said, we're not just sending the resume, we're actually making the introduction.
Lisa Gard, of course, Specialized Staffing with us today on Let's Talk. And of course, you can always hear this program again. If you are listening and you want some details, again, you just don't have the pencil and paper ready, just log on to WISR680.com and you can get this under programs, Let's Talk, and then find Specialized Staffing. So, Lisa, let me kind of revisit. You mentioned resumes there, but I have a question before we get to resumes, because what if I want to change jobs? And let's say I'm already in a position that would be upper management, let's say, and I just want a different position, but I feel like I'm overqualified for a lot. Could I still come to you? What would you say?
Sure. And that does happen a lot. We see that. And there are kind of two different aspects of what you're saying right now. One is that you're looking for something different. And if you're looking for something different, I think it's very important to make sure that first you know what it is you are looking for. A recruiter can only help you if you know what you're looking for. We can't help you decide what to look for, but we can help you once you know what you're looking for. So if you're looking for something different, I think one of the first things it's most important for you to do is to go back through your experience and through your skills and your education, all those work-related assets that you bring to the table. And you need to pick and choose the ones that you have that are most appropriate to what you're seeking. So if you owned a business and, you close the business down and now you're looking for a job and you're applying for work and the job that you're looking for is not an ownership position, it's not that high in the company. What you need to do is you need to pick and choose out of all those things that you did when you owned your business, what are the most appropriate things. If this is just in the finance side, then you want to pick and choose those things from the financial end of the business that you owned and put that on your resume so that you're highlighting only what's important and not all those other things that you did. And I'm using owner because that's probably somebody who's going to have the most diverse background. So not only did they get involved in the finance, but they got involved in the sales and the marketing and the production and, in the human resources and the hiring and so putting all of that on your resume, if you're only applying for something that is in the financial side of the business, is going to be too much. It's overkill. So you've got to kind of pare that down, put only the things that are appropriate for your target on that resume. In any situation, you just want to make sure that what's appropriate is what's on the resume, is what's highlighted, what's going to be relevant to the person who's reading that resume to see if you're qualified for the position they're hiring.
Then, Lisa, let me ask you this, because when we're wanting to change jobs and maybe we are qualified for it and maybe we want to move up a position and we've been working for a while, sometimes when we're looking at a resume, it just feels like we want to put everything on there and then we end up with like 2 pages, sometimes 3. What's the average that you should be turning into a potential employer for a resume? Is it a 1-pager? Can it be a 2-pager? How much do we put on? How much do we leave off?
That's a great question, Tracy. And actually, the answer to that is it should be 2 pages or less. It could be 1 is fine, 2 is fine. You get much more than 2, and it becomes difficult for the person reading it to stay focused on it. So they tell you to keep it to 2 pages, and we agree with that. And again, I go back to what is most relevant to the job you're applying for. So when you're looking for a job and you're searching online or you're reading, job postings, there is a job description. There is a list of responsibilities and duties, and there is a list of requirements. Your resume should have those exact things highlighted. They should be right up front. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I guess also why I'm asking is because in getting ready for our interview, I looked online and their cover letters and resumes. And I saw somebody post something that said, here's the old way we used to do things. Now here's the new way that you would outline a resume or a cover letter. And it seemed to be more like proactive. Instead of saying my objective is blah, 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 it would be more like, are you ready to have someone a part of your team? Almost like a sales pitch. Have you heard of that? Is there like a newer, fresher way that employers are looking for individuals?
Well, there are always newer and more creative ways to do it, but they all follow the same. There is still the same philosophy. By doing that, you're still basically stating your objective, but you're doing it in a way that is more of a sales pitch, which is a great idea.
So when we're talking about resumes again, switching jobs, trying to find jobs, what is it that you can help us with? I know you've outlined some already, because do you consider them counselors that work with you, job counselors that help individuals like me who are looking for a job?
Mm-hmm. Our recruiting staff are more like advisors. We are recruiters, and it is our job. We're paid to identify and evaluate candidates to fill positions for our clients. So that is our primary responsibility. But, we're working with people. We're not florists. So if, a customer calls a florist, they just go to the cooler and they pull out some roses and they arrange them in a nice, pretty, bow, and they send it out, and that's great. And the roses are never going to call the florist and say, hey, I don't like it here. Come back and get me. So we have a very unique challenge, and that is that we have to please, the people who we're sending out as well. So it benefits us to help the people who are coming in and working with us to find jobs, to help them through that process and to make them comfortable and to help them put their best foot forward. So, we only get paid if you get placed. We're not charging you a fee, but we only get paid if you get placed. So it does benefit us to work with you and to help you through that process.
Lisa,
so we do serve as advisors.
Okay, all right. And we have just about 5 minutes with you left, Lisa. And so I want to revisit the website, because you had mentioned that before. And if folks joined us late in the program, your website for specialized staffing, first of all, very informative, but you have different job opportunities on there as well. Can you explain your website again?
Sure, absolutely. Our website, you can go to our website at specializedstaffinginc.com. There you can, find out about our company, the types of positions we typically fill. There is a link to a list of all of the current opportunities we're working on. There is a way you can apply directly on our website. You can attach a resume. That will result in you getting called by one of our recruiting staff and setting up an interview. And also there is a job seeker resource portal called myspecializedcareer.com that you can click on. And that's a resource that provides different avenues for you to identify opportunities, not just with our company, but you can search all of the job boards at one time by logging in just once on that site. You also can tap into videos on how to prepare for interviews, and there are resume templates there. If you're looking to update your resume, you can put your information in there and it'll format it for you, and there are different formats you can choose from. Just different resources there for job seekers. Even job seekers who aren't currently working with us can go on there and access that and use it for free.
Lisa, in our last couple of minutes together, I just wanted to get your final thoughts. As we started our conversation today, we were talking about why contract work and why contract help, if you will, either way. But just the importance of contract work, I say to society, but there's benefits both to the working world and to the individual themselves. So just your final thoughts on that.
Sure. Companies use staffing firms for many different reasons, and oftentimes those projects, I think it's most important to understand that there is such a benefit to doing project work, and some of those that we talked about were, being able to gain experience, being able to use your skills, being able to build your resume. But on the company side, the benefits there as well are that if you have a need and it's due to a spike in business, it's temporary, it's not going to last, it offers you the flexibility to bring in that workforce you need to get the job done, but, you don't have that position open on a permanent basis. So they're there when you need them, and then when you don't need them, we're working with them to get them working somewhere else. So, there's benefits to both sides. And also, too, when companies are looking to fill positions on a permanent basis, this is an opportunity for them to work with the employee for a period of time to determine that, yes, they are the right fit. And that works both ways.
Lisa Gard, your phone number for specialized staffing, and then we'll close it out.
Sure, 724-287-8380.
Lisa, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tracy.
Of course, specialized staffing based here in Butler. They reach quite a few locations in western Pennsylvania, even into Ohio. So give them a call and you can find out more or ask your questions if you like. Thanks so much for joining us for now. I'm Tracy Morgan with Let's Talk.